November 2007. I don't remember anything, so let's get to the books. First book I read in November of 2007, Dead Souls by Michael Lamo. And let's see. I'm looking at my notes, and they mean absolutely nothing to me. Actually, that's not true. 18-year-old Johnny Petrie inherits a house from somebody he's never even heard of, but he wants to get away from his life. He has a zealously religious mother and a drunken father, so he goes to this place that he's inherited, not knowing that the former owner, Benjamin Conroy, was searching for immortality and willing to kill his own family to achieve it. It didn't work, but now poor old Johnny Petrie's in town, living in this place, and Benjamin Conroy not resting easy, still searching for immortality. I dig it. I really like Michael Lamo, the stuff that I've read, and dead people trying to come back to life. I like that kind of stuff. So that's Dead Souls by Michael Lamo. Next up, we have The Beloved, or The Beloved, depending on how you choose to pronounce it, by J.F. Gonzalez. And the main character-ish, might be two, depending on how you look at it, Elizabeth Weaver. Her brother, Ronnie, is dating a woman who he lavishes expensive gifts on. This woman doesn't want to lift a finger, expects Ronnie to take care of everything, take care of her, spend all his money. Apparently she has a history of this, and she has children. Well, Elizabeth can see that this woman isn't quite human. Excuse me. And then we have Don Grant, who has been hunting this woman for years, and he knows that she's a creature that feeds on lust and violence. Seems like Elizabeth and Don Grant are going to have to put a stop to The Beloved, or The Beloved. J.F. Gonzalez, good stuff. Sounds like a good old-fashioned succubus novel. And if you haven't checked out Gonzalez, not necessarily a bad place to start. I believe there's a relatively new author's preferred edition that's available. The penultimate book, because I only read 4 books in November for some reason. The penultimate book is Family Inheritance by Deborah LeBlanc. And the main character is Jessica Lejeune. Not sure about the pronunciation. And she has a healing ability. She can touch somebody on the forehead and heal them. Well, she's moving about in the world. Well, she has to return home when she finds out that her brother Todd has been put into a mental hospital because of self-harm. He's having horrible, horrible nightmares. There's also a shaman or a gris man who also has this healing ability, and he's having dreams that he needs to meet some woman. Well, it turns out, Jessica's powers, this other guy's powers, come from a demon of sorts, and it's also this demon that is causing Jessica's brother, Todd, I believe his name is, to have these nightmares. They're all going to have to come together, try to defeat this evil. Deborah LeBlanc, or LeBlanc, depending on how it's actually pronounced, I don't know. Great writer, Southern Gothic. I think this was me reading Southern Gothic before I knew Southern Gothic was a thing. She does great atmospheric work, and I enjoy voodoo stories, this sort of Louisiana Bayou magic kind of thing. So that's Family Inheritance by Deborah LeBlanc, or LeBlanc. The final book that I read in November of 2007 is Grim Reapings by R. Patrick Gates, and that's Grim with 2 M's. This is the sequel to Grim Harvest, I think it was called, and it takes place 13 years after that book. Um, Jennifer and Jackie Naylor fought Eleanor Grimm in the first book and defeated her. Well, now 13 years later, Jennifer and her husband are living in the old mansion that used to be Eleanor Grimm's, and they're converting it. It was a mortuary. They're going to convert it into a bed and breakfast and an artist's sanctuary. Jennifer is pregnant, but much like some things earlier in this list, Eleanor Grimm not resting easy, and the youngest Naylor sibling, there was Jennifer and Jackie, but they had a younger sibling named Steve. Eleanor Grimm, from beyond the grave, manipulating Steve to bring her victims, set up a ritual. She wants to take over the body of Jennifer's unborn child. Another dead person trying to come back, always fun. And R. Patrick Gates, I've enjoyed everything that I've read from him. This is from Pinnacle. So this is a time, again, where I'm just leisure books and Pinnacle all over the place. I believe the first 3 books here were all leisure. The Michael Lamo, not 100% sure about, but the Gonzalez and the LeBlanc, definitely leisure books. And that's it. There you have it. That's everything that I read in November of 2007. My question for this video, based on something I saw when I was looking up what these books were about to remind myself, someone in one of their reviews said that Grim Reapings was a sequel that happens to be better than the first book. So the question is there a sequel that you think is better than the first book? Movies, it's easy for me to name a number of them, although I disagree with a lot of people. I think the majority of people say that Empire Strikes Back is the better movie, or at least they like it more. I prefer the original Star Wars. Most people say Terminator 2 is the better movie. I prefer the original Terminator. And frankly, I think it's a better movie. People think Godfather 2 better than the original. But as far as books go, I did think of this question at the last second. I did think of it before I started recording, but it was right before I started recording, so I haven't thought about an actual sequel in books that I think is better than the original. And the first thing that came to mind was City of the Dead by Brian Keene. But that just popped into my head as a sequel. I don't think it's better than The Rising. I prefer The Rising to City of the Dead. I'm kind of looking around just to see if any sequels pop out. There's my Edward Lee books over there, but I can't think of any sequels off the top of my head there that I think are better than the original. Brian Keene has a number of sequels, but again, none of them popping out as better. Lots and lots of sequels all over the place where I'm looking. I mean, if you're talking about part of a series, then it's a bunch of sequels. Does that count? I mean, it's my question, but I'm asking you if you think that would count, because in which case, just glancing over here at the Joe Lansdale, I do prefer Mucho Mojo to Savage Season. Savage Season is the first Half and Leonard novel. Mucho Mojo is the second, and I probably prefer it because it's the first one that I read. But I do like Mucho Mojo better. Glancing around at all sorts of different stuff. So nothing's really popping into my head to answer this question. You can see me looking at all the different stuff. Da, 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 da. I really should think of these things. I'll tell you what, this might be a bit of a cheat, but, and this actually ties in if you're uh, subscribed to Grady Hendrix's Paperbacks from Hell newsletter. He actually talked about this. I believe it was in the last newsletter. As far as books go, Jaws 2 is better than Jaws. Now, Jaws 2 is a novelization of the movie, whereas Jaws is the original source material that was made into the Steven Spielberg classic, and Jaws much, 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 much better than Jaws 2. It's barely a comparison. But just overall, as a reading experience, I think Jaws 2 is better than Jaws. And that's what Grady Hendrix talks about in his newsletter. He has a bunch of categories, talks about how which of the two books comes out on top in each category, and then whoever scored the most points, or however you want to look at it, won that competition. I'm not going to tell you who he chose, but you should check out his newsletter. All right, I'm just hemming and hawing here, looking around at things, and just nothing's coming immediately to mind. So, what about you? Maybe, hopefully, people out there, something will pop straight into your head. Oh, yeah, this sequel's much, much better than the original. Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. That's all I have for you this week. So until next week, read more books.